Good evening and a very warm welcome to all. Schools of Creativity presents PLF Asia Phoenix Literature Festival started its journey in 2020, and we have conducted three literature festivals. PLF Asia is the fourth online Lit Fest. The sessions have been viewed by more than 35,000 people from and authors from India, South Africa, Australia, USA, Canada, Iran, and UK participating. Our intent is to strive to bring the writers and readers community on a common platform. PLF also started an initiative, Schools of Creativity, to inculcate reading and writing habits in children and youth. The purpose of PLF Asia is to initiate a dialogue on how to bring about positive change in our society. At PLF Asia, we are also recognizing the change makers of Asia. A very good evening again. I'm Anil Jalali and your moderator for today's very interesting topic. What ails Asia in providing world leadership? Before we start with the discussions, let me introduce you to our very esteemed panelists. Our first panelist is Nimish Joseph. Nimish Joseph is a senior research scholar at IIT Delhi, working in the area of social media analytics and information propagation. He is a software engineer by qualification and is interested in teaching and academic writing. Prior to joining IIT Delhi, he was working at Oracle India Private Limited as a software developer. He has served as conference secretary and a rapporteur in various national and international conferences. He has published research articles and has been associated with various Government of India projects, including Digital India Awards and National Digital Literacy Mission. He was earlier associated with an IT Delhi startup, Medic Fibers, as its CFO, and is currently working as the director for India operation at Pinza, a Seattle-based startup. He is a passionate Toastmaster and has served as the president of Oracle Corporate Club, Bangalore, and Capital City Toastmasters, New Delhi. Currently, he serves as the immediate past District 41 Director, Toastmasters International, covering the geography of North and East India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal. Welcome, Nimish. Our second panelist is Patrick Oy. Patrick Oy, Principal Consultant, Paragon Dynamics, a versatile trainer consultant who has trained and lectured at many companies, institutions of higher learning, and also personally coached many CEOs, directors, managers, and executives. He is equipped in training, development and assessment, civil engineering, administration management, organization and methods, sales and marketing, management consultancy, and marketing management, and has high honors in MBA in international finance and marketing. He has also been certified by the American Management Association, AMA, as a trainer. He was elected and served on the board of directors of Toastmasters International 2014 to 2016. As a keynote speaker, trainer, coach, he consults for various companies and institutions and clubs. A highly versatile speaker, he can work on any script to meet the customer's needs and help bring the company towards its organizational objectives. Patrick has also co-authored a book, A Journey of Riches, The Attitude of Gratitude. Welcome, Patrick. Our third panelist is Ankur Yadav. Ankur DM is someone who defines himself in just one small statement, and that is just a drop in an ocean. He started his leadership journey in Toastmasters as the president of Gurgaon Orators Toastmasters Club, and then gradually went on to become area director, president, distinguished division director, district public relations manager, where his work was appreciated by various Toastmasters and his initiatives were shared with all DRMs across the globe. Last year, while serving as one of club growth directors, District 41 attained rank number 1 in the world. He is now serving as PQD of District 41, which comprises of North India, East India, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. The topic of discussion for today is what ails Asia in providing world leadership. In the 19th century, the world was Europeanized. In the 20th century, it was Americanized. Now it is being Asianized. New McKinsey Global Institute research has shown that the global center of gravity is shifting towards Asia. Today, the region has an increasing global share of trade, capital, people, knowledge, transport, culture, and resources. Of eight types of global cross border flows, only waste is flowing in the opposite direction. That is the reason we call this the Asian century. On the other hand, political uncertainty, high population growth, low freedom of expression, individual political domination aspirations, climate change challenges, low governance, income disparity, etc. are proving to be pulling Asia down. Currently, by any yardstick, we cannot say that Asia is the world's fulcrum. Therefore, what are your opening remarks on what ails Asia in providing leadership? I'll go directly to Nimish to give his opening remarks. Nimish, you are on mute.
Thank you, moderator Anil Jalali, for that introduction and for that welcome. So I agree with your words. The way you started, something similar to what I believe Parag Khanna also wrote in his book. That the 19th century was about all about Europeanization. Later, it is about 20th century about the Americanization, and now in 21st century we will see it's going to be about Asianization. Uh, I agree that the strength that we or the Asian part of the globe have is majorly about the human resources. You mentioned about the indices and various numbers on which there are ups and downs. However, the strength or the advantage of Asia is its human power. However, it is like a two-sided sword, where on one side it acts as our strength, whereas on the other side it do act as our weakness. So yes, there are pros and cons. However, I believe that this trend, if capitalized, then this century is going to be of Asia's.
Thank you, Nimish, for your initial comments. And I'd like to hear comments and initial remarks from a different part of the world. It's in Asia, from Patrick. Patrick, your chance to go. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you, Anil. Anil. Well, Asia is a rising tiger, and in many ways, we are groping with our own sense of democracy. But whatever and wherever we are, we need to have some guiding principles which hold water for centuries long ago and for the next few centuries. First of all, I think all the leaders need to have one, integrity. Integrity in ensuring that they are consistent in whatever they do and whatever they say. Two, they have the heart for the people. Three, they must be able to stand up to the big bullies who will cajole them into submission of what they want us to be. And I think the Russian Ukraine war is a great example of how things will go wrong, especially when size matters. I remember the two leaders that I always look up to is Mahatma Gandhi and Singapore's founding father, our first Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. He said that in a world where the big fish eat small fish and small fish eats shrimps, and because Singapore is like a shrimp among all the countries around us, he said we need to be a poisonous shrimp. We need to be agile. We need to be able to fend for ourselves. And I think law and order, international rule of law is very, very important. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Patrick. I think that was something very interesting, and I wish to bring that sometime into the discussion later on, the rule of law. But before that, I would like to have initial comments from Ankur on what ails Asia in providing world leadership. And Ankur, you're on mute.
Yeah, Anil, I would say the only thing which is stopping us is our past because of the past of colonization and other factors, it has become a burden on us to out of which we have to recover. So it is our past which is creating or I mean slowing down the pace of providing the world leadership to the world from the Asia. This is what I would say because as far as we compare, even in terms of the GDP or other factors, we are contributing significantly if we compare last 4 to 5 decades. In the last 5 decades, if I have to mention, if it is about the 70s, 70 to 80, the world economic growth in terms of GDP was around 1.9%. Whereas if we talk about the Asia during 70, 80s, it was around 3.3%. And if we talk about right now, the world growth in terms of GDP is around 1.3%. Whereas in this particular decade, if we talk about the Asian part of it, it is 5%. So we are improving, we are contributing to the world leadership, we are providing a lot of opportunities, and I'm pretty much sure that we will be, but it's just that it will take some time. And but eventually, yes, we will be able to provide the kind of power we possess and the kind of leadership we can give to the entire world.
Thank you for your comments. So I would like to just take one comment of Patrick, where he said that Asia is a rising tiger. So, tigers at one point of time were hunted, that they became almost extinct from India. So that is a shade where any person rising in the world, there are always people trying to pull it back, and rising consistently over a large period of time is something that will take us to a world leadership level. But as Patrick mentioned, rules based on law, they are nowhere to be seen either in this part of the world or in another part of the world, because whoever dominates try to dominate the political discourse, the economic discourse, the cultural discourse, everything. So how do you see this? How can we take that domination from the Western culture, where culture wise Hollywood is everywhere, okay, McDonald's is everywhere, so they are dominating us by culture. Economy wise also they are dominating us. So how do you see Asia getting up to that level, going up to that level? Should we leave it to history that maybe it will come, or we should do something about it? Patrick. So the question is for Patrick. You're on mute, Patrick. I think there's an issue with his connectivity, so we'll come back to him. I'd like Nimish if he has. Oh, so Patrick, are you back? No, I don't think he's back. So Nimish, I'd like you to elaborate on this, please.
Okay. So first of all, when you mentioned the concept of taking the I like we being dominating over someone else, personally, I do not agree with that concept of we being dominating. But I what I believe is that where we get an equal respect with everyone else across the globe. So it is not like we are inferior to someone, or probably we go down in such a way that we have that the feelings of submissive feeling kind of a thought that is there in our youngsters, or when people meet the individuals from the West. So I slightly feel that all these things should move away, but it is not about dominating our presence over someone else. It's all about having a common ground for where everyone everyone deserves respect, and that is gained equally. Be it small, be it big, everyone should get that equal amount of respect. And I do not say that like you're right. It's not just the case of Asia. Even the countries from the Africa is not looked so high. So when it comes to the various economic policies or the decision makings, or when there is a challenge happening in these countries or in the developing world, then probably the attention what the countries get or these countries get is really less compared to what the developed countries do get. So that is one other reason, like what we are seeing even in the current ongoing fight, when it is about people who are related to the big giants or NATO or the Russia, it gets attention. But when similar things happen in an African country or in the West Asian sites, it hardly gets noticed. So that way, what I believe is that a day should come where everyone gets the respect that everyone deserves. And that can only happen if we uplift the living standards of everybody across the globe, because everyone need to move up. There should be a good environment for competition, which I think at this point is lacking in this Asian geography. And that is why we always look to the West and see that if you establish in West, then you will stand tall in the area, in the world of competition. So probably we need to kind of groom our youngsters. We need to kind of make sure that we learn and we provide more opportunities to understand the processes that is happening across various countries and yeah, various places.
Thank you, Nimish. Patrick, you are back. I hope you are able to listen to what I was saying, or would you want me to repeat it?
It will be great if
You're
you
on
can
mute,
repeat your
Patrick.
question.
Yeah. So what I was, and what Nimish was also answering, was that Patrick had mentioned that we are a rising tiger, and tigers were hunted once upon a time because they were so rare, and they were one of the best species of the beasts. Okay. And you see, in a world where somebody tries to rise up, the powers that are there already established try to dominate those people. Okay, try to dominate the countries. So right now, the domination of the Western world is so high on in all parameters, be it cultural, political, economic. How would it be possible for us as Asian countries to come up to that level? Because being just a rule based law will not help, because rule based law is till peace is there. Once somebody decides to follow war as an instrument of policy, like what is happening in between Russia and Ukraine, all things go for a toss, and your rule of law, nobody agrees to that, and the world dominant powers try to do whatever they want to do. So in such an atmosphere, how can Asian countries come up to that level of leadership?
Indeed, ours is a managed democracy, and the Western brand of democracy has been proven not to work. US may want to stem their form of democracy, but US have double standards, which all of us know. I used to be a staunch supporter of the US, but having analyzed and seen what they have done all over the world, they are the devil and the angel in disguise in many ways. Sad to say. I'm glad to see the rise of China, India, and many other countries. And I think China and India play a pivotal role for the next few centuries. China is so advanced now. The 5G technology is fantastic. Famine is hardly heard of today. India has improved by leaps and bounds. Although India still have a long way. The thing is, Every country have their own problems. They need to manage religious differences well. They need to ensure that the country is stable. And I think that is really, really very important for any country. In Singapore, we have Religious Harmony Act, whereby if one utters any word or does any action against any religion, whether that religion is practiced by majority or by not or by a minority, the government will come down hard on these people because these are the flashpoints whereby racial riots, religious riots, and unrest start. So we need to nip them in the bud. And I think quite a few Asian countries have that too. Because once you let it fester, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger again. And every religion has people who will want to stir up ill feelings against other religions, especially the minorities. And when the minorities feel oppressed, they will react. And then there goes the country down the drain. So every government has to manage, and every government has to ensure that the people are able to live in peace and harmony. What do you think?
Anil, you are on mute.
Sorry. What I was saying that it's nice that Patrick brought China, mentioned China, because can you have world domination when the free will of people is not taken into account, or democracy is not part of the common dispensation in a country? So if there is no democracy, can you still be a leader in the world? Does that play a part?
I think China is groping its way to world leadership, but China is not a bully. China makes sure that they look after their people, and China respects many countries. If you look at history, except for the China and India war, China has never invaded any countries. China has no hegemonic ideas besides the border disputes that China and India have, and maybe sometimes China and a few other neighboring countries have. But China has never invaded any country in the world, not in history. And China has been occupied and played out by many countries. The British played them out, introduced opium, and that's why Opium War. And through the Opium War, Britain took over China literally, not militarily, and then the Japanese invaded China too. But China has never invaded any countries, and that is something to think of. That China, even though when they become a superpower, they will respect other people. They will look after their own interests, but at the same time, they also respect other nations, and that's why Singapore itself is treading on a fine line between being good friends with US and being good friends with China and even with India, because there will be situations whereby countries are forced to choose. But if we hold true to our guiding principles, then I think that will guide us in making a stand, not in taking sides, but making a stand that is consistent with our own guiding principles.
Thank you, Patrick. That was nice. I'd like to go to Ankur. Patrick mentioned that China has not invaded any other country. So, invasion by other means is something that is happening in different parts of the world and has also happened where you dominate a country without actually putting boots on the ground. Uh, And I think that is one of the mistakes that Russia has done right now. It has put boots on the ground. So, Ankur, how do you feel about what Patrick has said? Do you agree with that? And do you agree that democracy is a fundamental, is one of the fundamental rights through which progress can be made? So, I'd like to hear your views.
Okay. So when we talk about democracy, it is not just the democracy, it is more about the political stability. And the relationship between the political stability and the economic growth is something which we are aspiring for. Now, when we specifically talk about the economic growth and political stability, they both are deeply interconnected. On one hand, the uncertainty associated with unpolitical stable environment may reduce the investment and the pace of economic development because of the unstable political environment. On the other hand, I would say that the poor economic performance may lead to the government collapse and political unrest. Now, the thing that we have to understand in this particular scenario is that be it the democracy or be it the any other form of governance, politically political stability, there are various ways to achieve the political stability, and one way could be through the operation and or through having a political party in place that does not have to compete to be re-elected. In these cases, the political stability, I would say, it is a double-edged sword, be it the democracy or be it otherwise. While the peaceful environment that political stability may offer is or can be a factor, it could also it could also become a breeding ground for cronyism with impunity. Now, I would say, be it the democracy or be it the any other kind of government, what we have to understand is that whether there is harmony or not, because many a times, even if we are getting our governments elected with the help of democracy, but then the status changes, then the circumstances changes, and then because of the huge or major power which they have got because of democracy at that time, and now they are misusing it for a very specific class of people, then there is a problem that even that democracy will fail to give us the political stability which we were estimating that we will be getting it. And this is something which is not just the case of one nation. This is something which we have witnessed in many countries, that once government elected through democracy, they have shifted their patterns, they have shifted their ideologies. So it is not just about the democracy or other form of government. It is more about the ideology and the great vision which the leaders of that particular nation are having for their country. This is what I would say.
Yeah, thank you, Ankur. I think the discussion is going towards politics, and politics is like opium. The more you discuss about it, the more you get drawn into it. So I would like to move to another question, which I have. The world population, the world population is 7.9 billion, and Asia's population is 4.7 billion, so which is approximately 60% of the world's population. Okay. Though it's provides a two-edged sword where you get a human resources, large pool of human resources and intense competition. It also makes equitable distribution of resources uh, very scarce, which is mandatory for providing wholesome growth of a country. So, how do you see population vis-a-vis the growth of Asia in a leadership position? My question is to Nimish.
Okay. Indeed, population is our strength as well as a weakness. There are certain parts of Asia where we have achieved that population control to a reality, as in not everywhere, but there are still parts of Asia where we have successfully achieved, or probably the people are educated enough that regarding their number of kids, the strength, how to manage a family, and all these kind of things is coming up as part of the education what people are achieving these days. However, in countries like China, India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, where the population is huge, and probably that constitutes nearly half of the world's entire population, it also acts as a reason or a hindrance a hindrance for the growth, many growth parameters. And rightly mentioned, many of the schemes of the government or many of the activities that NGOs or the other people who wish to do might not be reaching the masses because of the huge number of population, and that itself is a reason um, uh, why especially in India, we do have the crisis of unemployment issues, like unemployment. We have the nutrition issues. So all these things are, we can say that it is somewhere related to the growing population. However, on the other side, it is also about the policies and education that we have been providing over the last many years. So I believe that this double-edged sword needs to be rightly controlled, and the resources, even when you mention that the scarcity of the resources, but we still have the whole earth, and I believe that uh, we will there, and speaking from a broader perspective, I must say that we should distribute the resource that we have, that is the human resource, across the globe, and make the best use of this thing. As in, we should be open to work in different places and different geographies, wherever we can use our potential. We should be open to such ideas. And I am of that person who advocates that we need a world without boundaries, but I know that that's literally not going to be happening at any point of time. But still, from an idealistic perspective, I can always speak that the the strength that we have needs to be distributed, just like the resources faces scarcity. The strength or the things that we have is our population, and that needs to be distributed in the best interest of the globe. That is why we find many of our people who leaves to west or to other parts of the world in search of employment or better opportunities. I think it is completely okay. I very well remember a former Indian president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was also saying that there is nothing called as brain drain or something. It is indirectly that gives benefit everything back to our country or our homes or wherever we are. So I believe that yes, for a for the betterment of the entire humanity, I believe that the potential, the talents, everything needs to be distributed. When I say distributed, it's not like othering or eliminating. It is all about using or making sure that the people do get the things that they deserve in their life as a respected human.
Thank you, Nimish. Thank you for those interesting insights. I'd like to go to Patrick and hear his views on. So Patrick is out because of some connectivity issue. So I'd like Ankur to give his views on population. Is it a bane or a boon? And if it's a bane, why is it so? And boon, why is it so?
Okay.
Really
Thank you,
sorry.
Anil. I would say, I hope am I audible? Yeah, I would say that first we have to understood the difference between the population and the human capital, because what population is can become the human capital, and in order to make the population or convert it into the human capital, we have to make a lot of investments. It could be in the terms of education, it could be in the terms of healthcare, and there are many other kind of investment which we have to invest in order to convert the population which we want to treat as an asset. If we are not converting the population, if we are not making the investment, it will become a liability on us and it will never be an asset. So that is one thing which we all should understood, that population in itself, it is bit immature on our part if we consider it as an asset, because only highly qualified and trained population can become a human capital. Otherwise, that will be a liability for the nation or even on the Asia. If we consider that just the statistics or just the number of individuals or humans which we are having on our continent is an asset. So that is one thing. Apart from that, I would definitely say that it is quite easy for us to make them into human capital, but at the same time retaining that capital within the Asia is the next target which we should work upon. I would like to disagree with my fellow panelist Nimish, wherein he was mentioning this fact that there is no brain drain or there is nothing like that. But this is the reality. Even if I talk from the Indian perspective, many of the highly qualified individuals are leaving India and going abroad because they are getting more opportunities over there. Now, what we have to do is we have to create an infrastructure, we have to create an environment wherein we can get the same kind of benefits which we could have got had there been no brain drain. For example, Sundar Pichai is the CEO of Google, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, and so is the case with the Twitter. Why we are having all these big business mind going out of India? Because we are not providing them enough opportunities within our own nation. And this is what we should think from the Asia perspective as well. Most of the engineers are from Asia, but they are working somewhere else, not in Asia. It is because we are not providing them equal opportunity. We are not providing them conducive environment. So these are the things we should focus upon. Just by providing the education or just by giving them a good healthcare facilities within our continent is not enough. We should also provide them the opportunities and a kind of an infrastructure wherein they can in turn take our continent to the next level.
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you. You have been very vehement in your arguments. So I saw Patrick nodding his head vigorously. So I'm sure he wants to
Yeah,
say something.
right. I think Asia, with its vast population, the vast population will help propel the economies of their countries. China, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, all these have great population base. And like what my fellow panelists say, if the countries are able to mobilize these human capital and provide them with the right infrastructure and all, Asia will be the IT hub. Asia will be the banking hub. Asia will also be the next agricultural hub. If the countries are able to modernize agricultural techniques, I think Asia can really produce a lot of things. Asia in itself is already the factory of the world. But if these countries can, and of course India too, right? If this country can help mobilize their citizens, train them, and retain them, like what my fellow panelists say, provide that infrastructure, then of course the countries can benefit. At the moment, Singapore is benefiting by having a lot of Indians, Chinese from China, uh, Filipinos from Philippines, especially in the IT and in the IT industry and also in the banking industry. So if these countries and the governments are able to mobilize them, not just that, not just in educating them, but providing jobs back home, attracting companies to set up bases in the countries, then I think Asia will really be number one. And I think in 10 years, 20 years' time, Europe will just be tourist centers whereby we visit the ruins of Europe. And then when they visit Asia, they will be looking at Asia in awe, just like when you visit Taj Mahal, when I was at the Golden Triangle in 2015 after conducting courses there. I was in awe at the splendor and all of India. And when you visit China, you will also be in awe because my last trip before COVID, I was swarmed with motorbikes all over me. And the best part is, I can tell you, the motorbikes does not emit any sound because they are all electric motorbikes. And electric vehicles are really the in thing in China today. So China can produce a lot of things. I am sure India too can produce a lot of things. And with 5G and 6G coming up, the potential is tremendous. And that's why US and Europe is trying to thumb China down over 5G by accusing them of the state spying and all that. But I can tell you this, 5G is really awesome. It will change our lives.
Thank you, Patrick. It's interesting that you mentioned Asia will become the factory of growth. So, my question is that the level at which Asia is compared to the Western world, we have remained a factory where mass production happens. Innovation, which is the fulcrum of growth, is still not a part of our civilization. They say the Googles and the Facebooks, next Googles and Facebook and Apple will come from Asia. But my worry is that even if such an idea comes in, people having uh, cash to buy will buy those companies, and they will just be an idea which was generated here, and the cash cow will now be with the people who have got the cash with them. So this is a sort of a dichotomy how to get out of it to come to that level where you become uh, an innovation company, innovation area, rather than a factory where you mass produce. That's what we are right now in India. Also, it is mass produced. We are not it in the leading edge of technological innovation in it. We are a mass based doing the work of others. So how do you see that? How do we see to change that? Patrick, this is your question.
I think we are in the fifth generation. Very soon, China, India, and many other Asian countries will catch up. At the moment, US and even Britain, they are very creative. They come up with a lot of creative things. But China and India can copy and better them. Amazon came up with their shopping concept, and today in China, you heard of Alibaba and all. It's actually a big copycat of Amazon, and they do it even better. At one time, the Japanese were the copycats of the world, but today, China and India not only copy, we perfect it and we improved on it. So you give China and India and many other Asian countries another 10, 20 years, we will beat the West hollow. And that's why the West are so afraid of us. They want to thumb us down. They want to create instability in our countries. They want to control us. Definitely so, because they are afraid of us. No doubt about it.
Thank you, Patrick. My next question goes to Nimish. Nimish, what are your views on innovation, technology? You are from the IT sector. I think you would be having much more in-depth knowledge about how this sector is moving and if innovation will happen in this part of the world.
Okay. So when people quote this thing that next Google and Facebook will be from Asia, I slightly feel confused, because if it is about the numbers or the regarding the economical things, then probably I'm not the expert to comment on that. But if it is about the company as such, then we do not require another Google or Facebook. We need not imitate someone, because we do have a number of unicorns coming up these days. We have in the last 1 year itself, if I'm right, there are 30 plus unicorns that came from India itself. And I'm sure adding the other countries of the Asian region, we'll have n number of unicorns that have come up in the last 1 year. Now, these things, as I forgot who mentioned it, but as one of the panelists mentioned it, probably tomorrow, when during the competition, it might be eaten up by some giants. So it is necessary that, like the Patrick mentioned right at the beginning, that for these businesses to be shrimps, and shrimps with the poisonous
Poisonous.
shrimps, or like the, yeah. So that way, these unicorns or the companies should be given the right potential and power to groom themselves and grow up and kind of become superpowers of tomorrow. Uh, in coming to the technological growth, I am sure that all the countries, especially in the Asian continent, is moving towards in the right direction, because technology, you cannot separate technology completely from people, because whatever technology that someone invents, there need to be we need to have people to use it. And the strength of this part of the world is that we have the people who use it. So that is why the major market of all these companies in the West is the Asian countries. So we have the power to kind of we do have the right power to compete it, but as rightly mentioned by Patrick, the instability, like what I do not know how to rightly call it, but the differences that is being created in our continent is huge. For example, India and China probably in the next 10-20 years will not be able to work together as European Union does. India and Pakistan never. Probably maybe in the next 50 years, I do not see them any sort of like similar things like what European Union does. We cannot think about it very soon. So I believe that it will take some time to resolve these differences. And the major thing that can contribute to resolving all these differences is when we invest in education, when we kind of help our people to understand that it is dialogues that matter more than rest everything, than the hyper feelings of the identity or the other kind of things that we possess as our own. We need to kind of come out of all these kind of personal boundaries and say that let's talk, let's sit together, let's kind of forward together. So once we kind of bridge these gaps, then probably we can think of working together and moving forward and kind of creating a better place for all of us. I do not kind of agree at any point that we should be better than them. It is like we should be doing the best, and we should make use of the right capital that we have. That's the only thing. I never see that. I'm never can agree of that argument that we should dominate the West. If that is the case, then it is just like what West thought upon us a few years back.
Okay, yeah, interesting, Nimish. I think that was very interesting and very rightly said. We would also like to have questions from the audience. I think this is a very interesting discussion that is going on, and we would love to have questions from the audience. Till that time, I'd like to move on to something. Asia, what we are talking about, is not a monolith. It comprises of different personalities, because every country has got a different personality, past, culture, looking forward. So, how do these countries balance that, their individual political aspirations, their cultures, their growth moving forward? How do they balance together? As Nimish has said, that we can never be a European where cooperation is good, because balancing is very important for growth to happen. If we are always fighting with each other and are not do not have trust on each other, then I think it will be very difficult to move in one direction to give that leadership. So I'd like Ankur to first answer it, and then we'll go to Patrick.
I have a single liner answer to it. I would say that in that particular scenario, Asia should focus upon being the global metropolitan continent. This is what I would say, because this is something which has been the strength of the US and the West. That when it comes to the diversity, they have tackled it by making it a metropolitan. Though they have been connected with their roots, but at the same time, they have encouraged and appreciated the different cultures. And this acceptance of different culture and different ideas is something which has given them the strength to become the global power. And this has been being the one of the strength of the West, where if we compare it with the Asia continent. So I pretty much feel that if we can convert the Asia into a global metropolitan, then there is a possibility that we will not be fighting over the issues which are there on the basis of diversity or different religions or caste or races, because our focus will be on acceptance and on the progressiveness of the mankind and humanity, and we will not be investing or wasting our time on the pretty issues like thinking about the differences which we are having from one race with the another or with one country with the another. So by making it a global metropolitan, I would say that that's the only way, because this is something, if I have to give you a one specific example, I would say that Delhi, the capital of India, is, I would say, this is an example of what it calls to be a real metropolitan, because in Delhi you will see people from almost all the cultures, all the religions, and there is harmony. So if Asia can think on the same lines, I'm pretty much sure that we will be able to tackle this problem.
Thank you, Ankur. Interesting insights. I'd like to add here, and I'd like Patrick also to come on this. One of the main reasons I think because Europe is becoming a bloc is because they are from the same, basically the same culture. They have got the same ancestry, Caucasians, uh, and but this part of the world is completely different. They also have some sort of a history starting at the same point of time, which is not very far back. But this part of the world, cultures are different, people are of different backgrounds, they've got different histories, they've got different mental makeup, different way of looking at world. How easy or difficult would it be to make it one monolith going in one direction? Patrick.
I think Europe has to wake up to the idea that they will be second class citizens compared to Asia very soon because they have been colonials. They have been colonizing a lot of Asian countries, from India to China to Singapore to Southeast Asia, Spain, Britain, US have colonized many of us. But today we have woken up. I believe that for Asian countries to do well, we need to practice responsible leadership. Responsible leadership in this Russia Ukraine invasion means standing up to, like what I say again, our country's guiding principles. Singapore was the only country within ASEAN to voice up opposition to the invasion. Luckily, at the last vote at the UN, a few other countries joined in the vote. China initially was very quiet, but I'm glad that China, in the end, also issued a statement that they respect every country's territorial rights, that no country has the right to invade another country at their whims and fancies. And I'm glad China did that. So it should not be because I am your gang, I will side you, I will keep quiet because you did the wrong thing. Same, if my friends say that, hey, Patrick, you did this wrongly, I appreciate. And if I will reflect, yes, I think I did it wrongly, I could have done it better. And I appreciate this friend for telling me that. Unfortunately, India was very quiet over this invasion. So if more countries are responsible and issue statements, not because you are my friend or you are not my friend, but because of their generalized principles, I think this world will be a better place for you and I.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. So, Nimish, would you like to say something on this?
I just want to add that like the differences when it comes to the cultural differences or the history that certain parts of the geography possess. I think that is the reason that drives us to kind of achieve something that is better for the humanity. Because let me be slightly biased about my country and let me speak from that perspective. As in, we have a rich heritage where we speak about Vasudeva Kudumbagam, which means that world is one family, or Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, where we pray for the wellness of the entire humanity, or not just humanity, but like the entire the planet itself. I believe that everyone, not just us, but like everyone, do have their own rich heritage and rich culture, which inspires them to do certain things more. It is up to the current leaderships and the current policy makers across the globe to kind of facilitate these true spirit of brotherhood, the feeling of oneness, or the feeling of unity across all these differences. I'm not sure whether it will work because these are these are probably the words that someone can speak out, or it can become a part of a philosophical session. But when it comes to the grounds, it's going to be really difficult. However, we do have people like Mahatma Gandhi or many other social reformers who actually thought that okay, they can be the difference and kind of move forward. Many of the Asian countries do have, as I mentioned in the beginning, do have that kind of memories of the colonial days, because of which we still think that we are one step lower to many others. So we slightly have that sort of inbuilt feeling that probably we should be going down a bit, or probably we do not have capabilities to kind of reach to that level. But so the only thing that what I can pass on to everyone is that do not like, we all do have the potential. It's every human is special. Everyone can achieve the impossible, can make the impossible possible. So there is, being part of a specific part of the globe or being born to a specific culture doesn't make you special. Only the things that you make or what you groom yourself will make you a better person. One small bit that I can add, what I thought recently is that what lacks in the Asian continents or the countries is that many of our laws are not progressive enough to accommodate the past culture of ours. For example, when it comes to the wellness of the entire humanity, or like probably the entire globe, when we take the modern day laws of the Asian countries, I think that we are not moving in the right direction. Uh, I know, I personally, I've been working with many of the people who are especially in HIV positive. My friend Ankur also knows about a bit of this thing. So I know that the people, for example, take the case of the people from the LGBTQ communities living in India. I have seen a number of people who leaves this country to the European or the West because they feel that they are more welcoming or can have a life of their own in other parts of the world, because the laws of the land doesn't favor in their interest. So that way, like the laws, not just this part but various other things, there needs to be a step ahead in the progressive direction, which I believe that we will achieve gradually. We are taking baby steps, and like every other countries, we will also achieve it someday. And as I mentioned, my idea, or when my presence in this debate is that we never want to become stand above. We just need to be the best and to get equal respect and equal status with every other human being on this planet. We are not less than anybody. Neither an African is less, nor an American is less, nor an Asian is less. We all deserve equal respect. And it should not be like, say, after 500 years or 1,000 years or after 10,000 years, say the planet Earth is not a place to live. And we should not find that Starlink or Elon Musk is taking people from America to a different planet and making them safe, and others are left around. No, that is not the world I am looking for. I am looking where everybody gets an equal status and respect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nimish. I think that is from the Indian cultural ethos that we wish everybody well, and India and the world is a place for everybody. So I think that was very interesting, and thank you for bringing that up. I'd also like, you also mentioned that something of the sort, that the pillars of democracy, like judicial, legislative, executive, if you don't have these pillars fully independent and strong, okay, how is it possible then for countries, for example, if you look at some countries, maybe for example in India, the executive is not so strong, okay, the judiciary has got its own problems, and look at some other countries where the judiciary is not there, it is completely dependent upon political, whatever the political dispensation is there. So if we don't have those foundation principles strong, how is it possible for a leader to come up and take Asia towards that goal that we want to achieve? So I hope Patrick is able to, has been able to listen to me. Patrick, did you hear me?
I believe the executive and the legislative and the judiciary must be kept separate. If these three arms of the government can be kept separate, then the judiciary will be able to interpret the law that has been passed. Okay, unfortunately, in Asia, this is indeed very, very lacking. And the judiciary also does not have the right to override the legislative. That means when Parliament passes law, the judiciary, the judges, the justice system has to interpret according to what has been passed. It is not for them to overrule that. So in some cases, the executive can dominate and even intimidate the judiciary. So if the executive can intimidate the judiciary, like in some corrupt countries, then it is bad for the countries. If these three can be kept at arm's length and work for the good of the country, then I think that country will progress. Any country will progress if these three arms of the government can be kept at length and they work for the benefit of the people. I think any country that adopts this will do well.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. I think this has been one of my most interesting and stimulating discussions, and I'll have to thank Patrick, Ankur, and Nimish for coming onto the panel and giving their free and fair views on the subject. It has been a really enriching experience for me, and I hope whoever is listening and seeing to this would also have the same experience. So I again thank you, all of you, for coming on to this platform and giving your valuable inputs. Thank you so much, and God bless.